Do minimum import prices signal the end of automotive import tariffs? How will this affect competition in Europe? And are small battery electric vehicles finally taking off in the region? This is the Automotive Update, presented by Autovista24. Hello and welcome to the Automotive Update. I'm Autovista24 journalist Tom Hooker, here with the latest industry news. The EU and China appear to have made a breakthrough in trade negotiations. The EU has released guidance on minimum vehicle import prices, which could shake up tariffs. Here with me to explain all the latest details is Autovista24 editor Tom Gegas. How's it going?
Hi Tom, yeah, it's going well, thank you.
It's great to have you with us, Tom. So I think it's safe to say that this is far from a straightforward subject. I know you've been spending some quite late nights looking through all of this. I think to start with, let's keep it simple. What is this new document from the European Commission all about?
You're absolutely right, Tom. It's not that straightforward. It sets out guidance for companies looking to export battery electric vehicles, or BEVs, made in China to the EU. They can do this by making what's known as an undertaking offer. This includes setting a limit to the price of their vehicle, a minimum import price, or MIP. And just a reminder, BEVs made in China are subject to countervailing duties. But let me read you a short section from the guidance document to highlight what the Commission is really going for here. The undertaking offer must be adequate to eliminate the injurious effects of the subsidies and provide equivalent effect to the duties, be practicable, mitigate the risks of cross-compensation, and be in accordance with general policy considerations.
I feel like that one answer just created 5 more questions. But first, maybe let's just have a quick reminder on those tariffs you mentioned.
Yeah, that's a good idea, Tom. So, back in October 2024, the EU confirmed countervailing duties of up to 35.3% on BEVs made in China, which go on top of the standard 10% import duty. These rates were set according to the findings of an investigation into subsidisation. So effectively, tariffs were an attempt by the EU to level the playing field.
Okay, so let me just get this straight for a second. Instead of tariffs, exporters can tell the Commission the minimum price that will be attached to their cars.
Correct. However, it can't just be any old price. The undertaking offer still needs to address the findings of the subsidy investigation I mentioned. There is one of 2 ways that prices can be determined. The first, it can be based on the countervailing duties, or the second, they can base the minimum import price on a comparative vehicle made in the EU.
So just set one MIP for a model and that's it?
Actually, there is quite a lot to consider. For example, an MIP must be set for each model and configuration option. The exporters also need to make sure they don't cross-compensate by just lowering the prices on another model. Something that can help with this is by setting annual volume commitments and a limited duration on the undertaking. And the offer also has to be technically feasible, meaning that Commission must be able to verify that the exporter is remaining compliant with the undertaking offer. Now, future investments in the EU BEV-related industries will also be considered within the offer. Meanwhile, complex sales channels actually won't help your undertaking offer.
Okay, I feel like this is quite a loaded question, but what does this mean then for the European automotive market?
Yes, so I've been in contact with experts from across Autovista Group, including EV Volumes Head of Forecasting Neil King and Ludovic Percier, Autovista Group's Senior RV Analyst for France. And things aren't expected to change all that much in terms of competition and pricing. Marco Pasquetti, Autovista Group's Cluster Head of Forecasting for Spain and Italy, said it's more likely that there will be an impact on OEMs' margins. He expects BEV pricing levels to remain broadly at the current level, or at least that any changes will be the result of greater technological maturity. He also highlighted the potential complexity of the approval system. A lot of new models have been launched in Europe by new entrants. If a committee needs to review an MIP for each model and configuration in a proposal, this is going to create a bottleneck which will slow down the time it takes to launch a new model, making dynamic pricing quite a bit more difficult. Now, this could actually benefit European car makers. Meanwhile, Jason Whittington, Autovista Group's Regional Head of Valuations for the UK, pointed out that minimum pricing may not stop car makers from trying to provide support to underpin high finance balloon payments, and this would effectively lower monthly finance costs for the consumer. Either way, I can imagine exporters aren't going to want their MIP costs to exceed the current duties, but they're also going to want to make sure they're reasonable enough to be accepted. So realistically, that means MIPs aren't going to be far off what is currently possible under the current countervailing duties. But there is an important caveat. Investment in the EU will be considered as part of the assessment of the offer, as I mentioned earlier. This means we could see a lot more money being funneled into the sector by companies looking to propose the best possible MIP.
Wow, all I can say is thanks very much for helping us untangle this one, Tom. But don't go anywhere, as we'll be continuing our discussion on Europe and EVs in the next segment.
Sounds good.
But first, if you want to get more automotive insights like this sent directly to your inbox, then sign up for our email via the form at the bottom of our homepage on autovista24.com. Check out our YouTube channel too. There you can watch our must-see highlights of the Brussels Motor Show, as well as our latest webinar, revealing our 2026 residual value outlook. And of course, subscribe to the Autovista24 podcast wherever you listen to us. Talking of the European EV market, reports from ASEA indicate that EVs remain more expensive to produce than internal combustion engine models. This means that EVs are often more costly to buy than petrol and diesel cars, which has been proven by various studies, including those from the US Department of Energy. To combat this, many car makers produce EVs for larger, more premium segments where targeted consumers have greater spending power. In simple terms, this translates to higher list prices and ultimately more profit per vehicle. However, manufacturers may be more incentivized to make smaller EVs in the coming years. This is due to a proposal in the European Commission's Automotive package, which says that car makers could earn super credits from selling small, affordable EVs made in the EU. These super credits would count towards their CO2 compliance targets. Yet, with lower list prices compared to larger EVs, this could place a lot of pressure on car maker profits.
That's all well and good, Tom, but have we actually seen increased demand for small EVs in Europe?
I think we're beginning to, yes. This week, I explored the latest European EV sales figures from EV Volumes. Two models particularly stood out to me, and they're both from the small battery electric vehicle segment. The first was the combined deliveries of the Renault 5 and Alpine A290, which topped Europe's battery electric vehicle market in November. The second was the BYD Dolphin Surf, which made its first ever appearance in the top 10 in November. It's still a relatively new model in Europe, and it only began recording sales volumes in May 2025.
And was this just a flash in the pan, or have small models been performing well across 2025?
I would actually say the latter is true. The Renault 5 and Alpine A290 sat third in the cumulative battery electric vehicle standings from January to November. The EV3 also appeared in ninth. Looking at the top 20 best-selling BEVs in Europe in the same time frame, you also have the Volvo EX30 and Citroën EC3 posting strong figures.
So, with this in mind, do you think that the demand for small EVs is going to continue into 2026 and beyond?
Well, unfortunately, I don't have a crystal ball. I wish I did, but I can certainly see it happening. Batteries are becoming cheaper, according to a report by Bloomberg NEF. In turn, car makers may have less pressure on profits when producing these small EVs. This year, more models are going to be entering this segment, including the Kia EV2 and the BYD Atto 2 DMI, both of which were presented at the Brussels Motor Show. However, as buyers in this bracket are usually more price sensitive than others, there could be significant price cuts and discounting, like we are seeing in China. I believe the key to success could be to have a competitive list price and efficient but most importantly affordable battery in the vehicle. I also think it's vital for car makers to stress to customers that the total cost of ownership for EVs is usually lower than their internal combustion engine counterparts. This could win over a lot of consumers who are currently on the fence. A big thank you to Autovista24 editor Tom Gegas for appearing in this episode, and web editor James Roberts for co-producing. The music was Better Find a Solution Fast by Richard Ames. Thanks very much for listening to the Autovista 24 podcast.